So yeah, I'm from Lancashire County Council and I'm a Policy Information and Commissioning Manager and looking at the live well sector, so how people are living well, the transition from young person to an older person. But I also have the luxury of having the lead for Go On Lancashire. And Go On Lancashire was brought around, this is what we're going to talk about today, but I won't harp on about that. But Go On Lancashire was brought about by Go On UK, National Digital Skills Charity. I don't know whether anyone's heard of them before. Martha Lane Fox was the founder, and Go On UK started a regional tour and started to launch campaigns in regions, and the North West did theirs over 18 months ago now. So big launch at Media City, and I know some NHS colleagues around the floor were there at the launch. And I took that back to Lancashire County Council because it was something that we were really keen to address in terms of increasing the basic digital skills of citizens. And it was because of the work we'd done around the rollout of superfast broadband, which I'm sure you've all had in your areas. We're spending millions of public sector funding in rolling out superfast infrastructure, but yet citizens are not quite sure what it is, how to use it. So from day one, we developed a strategy that looked at how can we help the citizens understand the benefits of having this infrastructure and what can it do for them. But the Go On Partnership has a lot of partners pulled together in terms of some of your corporate bodies, Lloyds TSB, Lloyds Banking Group, Barclays, the Post Office, Eon, Argos, big players who are willing to collaborate to help each other. So if you look at your high street, typical high street, how can all those retailers with their social responsibility start thinking customer, start thinking with their social hat on, who other partners can we work with to help these customers really get the best out of being online? Okay, and as you can see there, we sort of, I'm not a health professional, I don't work in the health agenda. Mike, I know, works for the same authority, we've probably never met each other. We're a big organisation, and trying to join the dots together is really difficult just in one organisation. Lancashire-wide, North West, it gets even harder. So I did a bit of homework in terms of how can our agenda meet with what you're looking at today. So some of these apps could be classed as Star Trekky for some of your citizens and patients. If they don't understand it, they may potentially not use it. It's all about NHS choices. I can go online and book my GP's surgery, but nobody trained me. I had to find out how to do it myself. We've got information for living in our library services, and In the Know is also health-based for Lancashire Constabulary. And then we've all heard about the paperless NHS system that there's billions of pounds gone into that. What I will say is that Go On Lancashire is still very much in its infancy, and I've spoken at many arenas before, and you all get the same nods, but we're still trying to join dots and to gain momentum and pull partners together. And for the 12 months, it has been hard work trying to build those foundations. Somebody mentioned it earlier about relationship building and getting on the same journey together rather than rushing ahead with something that we don't know whether it's going to work or not. We have got a Lancashire team that's steering the agenda forward, and we've got colleagues from Blackburn and Blackpool on there as well. And we're moving forward with a clear understanding of what the problem is, a potential solution, and my colleague Gordon Hempton, who chairs the Go On Lancashire Partnership, is going to talk more about it. And we know now who we need to contact with and what we need to do to move it forward. So I hope you enjoy the presentation, what Gordon's going to talk about now, which is more of the detail. This is probably the bit you're most interested in, but I hope I've set the context in terms of why we're here today. Is that all right?
Thank you, Lynn.
Thank you.
No pressure there, then more interesting. Morning. So if I could just maybe take a minute just to recap what we're here to talk to you about today and what we've heard so far. We've heard from Will on how are you today, and the fact that there is an access digitally to get involved as a patient in letting people know how you feel. We've listened to Tim about Orca. I think, Tim, you said 165,000. That's a bit scary. I'm sure they're not all good, as you said, but that's a new number on me. Apps that are available. Lloyd talked about patients know best, and I think that's probably the best example of what the message we'd like to get over today, because if you've never switched a computer on, then patient know best, and how you can integrate that doesn't mean a great deal to people. And Mike, probably your presentation came the closest to what we want to talk about, because it was about, coaching, health coaching, getting people involved, and realising that actually there is a gap. So 1 in 5, if I can just have a show of hands, how many of you in the room know how to turn a computer on? And know how to do a Google search? Would know how to search for a job? Would know how to access Amazon, information in general online? Okay, so we're not talking about people in this room. Is there anyone in the room who knows of anyone who wouldn't know how to turn a computer on or what a mouse was? Okay, would they be the older generation predominantly? Okay, the same hands go up. So when we talk about 1 in 5, we want to talk about this 20%. It isn't, it's a national average, but it's not people in this room. So if you break that down and you look at demographics and areas of the country that suffer with deprivation and are low output areas, that 20% goes up to 40, 50, 60% of a given population who can't access information online because they don't have the skills. There is a fear factor involved, predominantly with older groups. There is an access issue because of cost. And there's also quite a big problem with apathy. So if you break down areas where groups who access public services more frequently, that number goes up 40, 50, 60%. So you can't Pareto this. It's not just an 80-20. Well, if 80% are inclusive, we'll just work with them, and that'll deal with the lion's share of the problem. It doesn't quite work that way. So we've got a big issue with the number of people that can't access what today's world requires them to. And it's going to get worse. If you think back over the last 10 years and the number of apps and the type of apps and initiatives that have been launched from a government basis, DWP, local governments and NHS specifically, 10 years ago, maybe not too successful. Over the last 5 years, getting better. Universal credit has recently been launched over the last 18 months, and you might not agree with the principle of universal credit, but as a launch, as an initiative, it's gone very, very well. So we're getting better. You're getting better. The next 5 years, you're going to get better still, and the next 10 years, we'll be launching almost on a daily basis new initiatives that will absolutely require people to be online. So we've currently got a gap. There's a gap in how people can access just day-to-day needs, whether that's finding a job, whether it's building on relationships because social media is driving that, whether it's DWP access, whether it's NHS. There's already a gap. And if we don't deal with the fact that people aren't inclusive, that there are people who still don't know how to turn a computer on, then that becomes an absolute chasm. It becomes a Grand Canyon, and people will get left behind. And the first thing to say in recognising that these numbers are real is that we'd like to get the message over that there's a problem. It's a very exciting world we live in, lots happening digitally, lots happening with new technology, and it's a very exciting world. But we're leaving people behind, and those are the people that we're here today to represent. So we really want to focus on the citizen, the residents that aren't digitally inclusive today, but it wouldn't be right to not mention that Go On also deals with the small to medium-sized enterprises that don't have an online presence. A third of SMEs not having a web presence. Again, very conservative, because I talk to a lot of SMEs that believe they've got an online presence, but what it means is they've got a website from 2003 that was developed by a friend of a friend or by a GCSE student, and it doesn't actually do anything for them. So they might have a website, but they're not online. And when I talk to them about, you need to come and work with us, we can support you, well, no one visits my website anyway. And that's my point. Third sector, VCSE, VCFS, whatever you want to call it, depends which borough you're in. really light years behind. So for those that are online, not collecting donations, not letting people know what their mission is, not marketing their mission and their purpose, why they exist, why you should work with us, why you should volunteer with us, from the very simple things to just having no online presence at all. Something that I think the majority of people in this room would find difficult to believe, given the world that you live in. But that is the case. So we don't just want to focus on the population and residents within any given community, but small to medium-sized enterprises, and the voluntary sector is also quite a big target for us. My background is private sector. I run a community interest company now, but I've spent the last 20 years in the food industry, as you can tell, doing carrying out business turnarounds, value and re-engineering and lean manufacturing. So some of you might recognise the Lean House. And it's just our way that we use with our teams to demonstrate what it is that we're all about. So we've got a clear vision. It matches that of Go On UK. Our colleagues, customers and communities are our core focus, and we have clarity there. But we've got a foundation that we're building on. So our processes, our systems, our procedures, our partnerships, what we're doing to make sure that we're building this house on solid foundations is also in place. And Go On UK are core to that as well. I'll talk in a second about how we translate that into what we're doing. But hopefully you'll get these slides, so I'm not going to read these verbatim. Influencing key stakeholders, sharing expertise, facilitating convening and raising awareness are core to what we try to do with Go On Lancashire. And Lynne, through Lancs County Council, is sponsoring that, and the team that she mentioned earlier, the steering group, have taken that upon themselves to step in and play their part. But what we really wanted to talk to you again about today is if we can convince you of the fact this problem exists, and Star Trek technology, although very exciting and great, won't get the benefits that you're targeting if we don't take everybody with us. We're looking for partnership working. We're looking for people today to come and find us afterwards. And either you're somebody that we should be talking to, or we're somebody you should be talking to, or you know somebody that we should maybe be connected with. That's one of the key things that we want to get out of today, because the last 12 months we have been trying to join up the dots. And I'd like to think there's a lot of dots in this room. So partnership working is really core to what we're trying to do. So we looked at what the strategic digital house looks like, and what that looks like in practice is statutory bodies getting involved in understanding what it is they want to get out of being online, being digital. I won't call them cost savings, I'll call them efficiency drives. But those efficiencies won't be achieved if you can't get everybody in the community engaged and capable of using your digital platforms. The voluntary sector, I've just mentioned how far behind they are. SMEs, and this is white van man, retailers, professionals, quite a significant gap. But mainly, and I come back to the point about it being our priority, citizens and residents within communities. And we've just given an example there of different demographics. These are the people that we're working with who literally don't know how to turn a computer on. I was with a digital champion the other day and some new trainees, and one of them was handed a mouse, and he put it on the floor to foot control it. Somebody else was told to raise the cursor, and the mouse came up in the air. These are real skill gaps that people have, and without doing something about that, you're not going to deliver your efficiencies, whether you're the NHS, the DWP, local government, etc. BBC. So our scale up, we've been working in West Lancs for a while with a platform that we've launched to just try things out. It's unfunded, other than private resource, and so we do have quite a clear focus of what we've done and want to do in Lancashire. It's the only county in the country, by the way, that has this approach. So Go On UK really focuses on London, North East, North West and Northern Ireland. There are pockets around the country where people have heard of it and started, but those are the main areas. In the North West, there are pockets around the North West, St Helens, Bolton. But there's only one county that actually has engaged all its boroughs to target this approach. Was that a time check? Thank you. So, go on, Lancs. We've got a clear strategy. We've started to engage with health boards, with the police. We're working on driving digital champions through a platform we have called Community Eye, and you can see the URL for it there. And one of the examples we wanted to give, just to show how we can tie together, is that's just a screenshot of Community Eye. You'll see jobs, events, training, news blogs, which aren't just links, they are actually local people creating news blogs. Your location, so this is Community Eye Preston, Community Eye Burnley, etc. Well, this is the app we use, or the platform we use when we're coaching people. One of the things I wanted to demonstrate, we talked earlier about how we're connecting with partners, is how we'd like to bring in the third sector community groups to support NHS professionals. How finding somebody sat in front of you who might not need a clinician, might not need a doctor, might not need the NHS, but does need support. And I haven't got the time to take you through all of these links right now, but taking people through our Community Eye platform to connect with community groups who are there. Take West Lancs alone, a very low population. There's over 400 community groups there who can help. So we're looking to make that connection. And just to summarise, 1 in 5 is about 170,000 people in Lancashire. It's about 1.5 million in the northwest. It's a big problem. Public sector efficiencies won't be achieved. Success is reliant on partnering and cross-sector support, building capacity so that we can get to these people, get to these small businesses and third sector. Digital inclusion outcomes, we're working on social inclusion agenda. So when we work with people who are digitally excluded, we're looking to get them closer to the job market, get into a job, you feel healthier already. And finally, move people closer to the job market, building resilience, building self-reliance and building sustainability. We need your help. And what we're asking today is for you to recognise that that problem exists and come and talk to us later. Thank you very much.